Hello traders, and welcome to NOFT's Weekly Market Compass, where we help you navigate the week ahead. Our Weekly Market Compass is brought to you by our head trader Troy, who in between assisting traders in taking the next step in their careers, provides weekly and daily guidance in our live trading room every single day. Before we get into this week's guidance, we need to remind you that trading does carry significant risk, and all information in this video is just provided for educational purposes only and is not an offer or recommendation to trade future stocks, options, or Forex. From everyone here at NOFT, good hunting out there and happy trading. Here's Troy.
So you can see on my screen I've got forexfactory.com, the calendar section put up here. We're looking at Monday, March 5th. We're going to look at the entire week like we always do on Mondays. And you'll see that there is very little in the form of red, except when you get down here to the bottom of the day or top of the day, however you look at it. We've got some Aussie numbers late in the day. Overnight we had a services PMI for Great Britain. It came in at 54.5, better than expected at 53.3, so that was good. The euro overnight, and I'll let Kyle talk a little bit about this, but Germany's election elected Merkel again for her fourth term. And although that was good news for the euro and there was an initial spike, it looks like there was some negative information from Italy. Lots of stuff going on in the Eurozone, so I'll let Kyle talk about that a little bit later. The U.S. numbers today, we have a 945 number, final services PMI. It's a yellow, which is low expect. Don't expect to see too much. However, we do have ISM non-manufacturing PMI coming in at 10 o'clock. So that is a big number. We'll be careful about that. Estimated is 58.9. I expect it to be very, very close to expectations or slightly above. We do have a Fed member speaking at 1:15 p.m., but usually those remarks are pre-released, and usually they're pretty benign. We do have some big numbers coming up this evening in the Aussie. Current account, retail sales, big number, cash rate, and the Royal Bank of Australia rate statement. So big numbers for the 6A this evening. I want to be very careful if you're an evening trader. Looking ahead, Tuesday, March 6th, we don't have much going on. Almost nothing from a U.S. perspective. There is a couple numbers, people speaking tomorrow. Again, even though these are red items, I really don't expect too much impact at all, to be perfectly honest. Maybe from Governor Lowe. This is the equivalent of our Fed chairman speaking. So that has the potential to be a red item. But again, usually those comments are pre-released, pretty benign. Aussie at 7:30, GDP, big number, 7:30 evening, Tuesday night. So it looks like going to be some decent volatility coming into the 6A, at least tonight and tomorrow night. Looking ahead to Wednesday, we do have a couple of red items. We have non-farm ADP number. That's always a big mover, 8:15 in the morning. On Wednesday, definitely some good stuff going on that earlier 8:15. The rest of the U.S. stuff is pretty light except for crude oil inventories at 10:30 on Wednesday. Good. Always bring in a lot of volatility. And again, the Bank of Canada will be talking about their rate statement and the overnight rate. That'll be at 10 a.m. So we've got definitely some interesting volatility coming in on specific pairs, currency pairs this week. The 6C here, 10 a.m. on Wednesday will be a mover. The 6C is having some real issues. I'll let Kyle talk about that later. We have trade balance. So the Aussie, every day so far this week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, they have had a red item coming out in the evening. So good, looks like a very, very good week for trading the 6C. Thursday, March 8th, we have ECB conference, press conference. Always can be very up and down. 8:30 in the morning, be very aware of what's going on with the 6E. That will also affect the dollar. It'll also affect the pound. ECB press conferences can be a real mover, and it can be a big disappointment too. So it's just one we need to be aware of at 8:30 Thursday morning. Then we have unemployment claims. Unemployment claims is a medium impact. The only time unemployment claims are really a big deal is when it's a significant miss in either direction. But most of the time it's pretty benign. We do have, of course, later in the day we get some Japanese numbers for the yen. Ooh, sorry, it's early morning here on Monday. Monetary statement from Japan and the Bank of Japan policy rate statement. That'll be very interesting. It will affect the 6J. And also this can also have an effect on the dollar as well. So Thursday late evening, it'll be probably very late Thursday night, some Japanese yen action there. You can see that the Bank of Japan press conference, it actually presses from Thursday night into Friday morning very, very early. The only other really good stuff moving into Friday is manufacturing production for Great Britain at 4:30 in the morning. I don't really trade the London session, but it certainly can be very good to trade that, the London session, if you are have other things going on for the American session. Certainly can trade the London session very, very good. 8:30 Friday morning, we have some CAD numbers, red, employment change, unemployment, big 6C movers, as well as, wow, a bunch of stuff in the U.S. Unemployment rate, non-farm employment change, and average hourly earnings. Those are big numbers that will give us an idea of what's going on and probably will cement the situation with the Fed as to whether they're going to raise rates in March. So some good impactful numbers at 8:30 on Friday morning. Nothing after that, so pretty quiet the rest of the day. And that's how the week from a macro event type scenario is. The ES here, we did put in a lower low, so that's kind of ugly looking, and appears to be potentially a lower high. Kind of ugly, just to say the least. From a long perspective, obviously we're sort of in between these high volume nodes here. Could definitely see us coming back down and retesting the 26.48 level. And really, to be honest with you, I'm not interested in taking it, in looking at anything until it gets down to that level as a potential long. Short, I could see if we retest that high at 26.96 will be a potential spot for a short. But we're back into starting to get into an area of congestion. So you see this whole section right here. This is sort of a up down, back and forth, up down, back and forth area. So definitely a bi-directional market. I would tend to scalp this if you're going to be trading it today. That's my 2 cents worth on the ES. The NQ chart is a little bit better looking than the ES chart. We do have a lower low from here, a lower low, and a lower high. Again, that's not indicative of a good, at least not a bullish market. I could definitely see us coming back. Remember, we were talking about this possibly being a head and shoulder. Well, we may be putting in the shoulder and it may be turning over. It's an interesting pattern right there. We've got a spot here at the 68.61. That's kind of a nice little spot to possibly take a short. A long, man, I don't like it long. I would say long. There's a low volume node right above this VRL, 66.37. Markets are looking kind of dangerous. The ES is showing some weakness. The NQ here is also showing weakness. The RTY is continuing to do this expanding wedge, which is when you have the megaphone. Some people will call that a megaphone. It's blasting sound out. When you have this situation, this pattern is very, very sideways at best, very high levels of volatility. Let's take a look at crude. Crude continues to not be so bad. I mean, we did put in a lower low and a lower high, but pretty decent action here. I think we're not. I really don't see any specific fear or greed coming into this market. I think it's all supply and demand driven at this point. It's starting to get a little bit closer to more supply matrix information versus fear or greed. I think we can definitely come back and test this 61.8 fib, which is also a 60.33 VRL. Definitely see that to the top side. I think this 33 area, 33% retracement area, as well as 62.22 is a good spot for some resistance. Gold, a little bit of fear, yeah, just a little tiny bit of fear, not substantial, but you can see that we did put in a lower low and a lower high. Once again, seems like we are continuing the trend down. Again, I would think that we would see some support around just at this low volume area, just below 1310, like 1307-ish area. But you can see I've drawn this area of congestion, definitely an area of interest based on these high volume areas. This is sort of the happy zone between about 1304 to 1280. The bonds, ZN, which is the notes, again, at least this chart is acting normal, sideways to down, which is exactly what the Federal Reserve is projecting